Get ready, because if you thought Love and Hip Hop Atlanta had already shown us every kind of chaos possible, think again. You couldn't be more mistaken. Imagine this: a dream trip to Puerto Rico. The sun's shining, palm trees swaying, music in the air. It should have been nothing but cocktails, laughter, and good vibes. But instead of relaxing with drinks by the beach, we got an explosion of emotions. Joc turned into a walking time bomb, and Kirk tried to play the role of the calm negotiator. That is, until Kendra's name came up. The moment it did, the entire atmosphere shifted. It was like someone had dropped a bomb in the middle of the conversation. Now think about it. What's worse? A vacation ruined by rain? Or one ruined by finding out your friend might have crossed the line with your wife? Exactly. You can pack another umbrella, but you can't pack away betrayal. And Joc didn't just get a little upset. He didn't sit there pretending to be calm. He blew up. This wasn't quiet anger. This was the kind of meltdown reality TV cameras dream about. Puerto Rico stopped feeling like a paradise and started looking like a battlefield. Accusations flying, friendships cracking, and every bit of trust shattered in real time. So how did things reach that point? Let's rewind. The Puerto Rico getaway was supposed to be all about peace. Some fun in the sun, a few cocktails, a few laughs, and maybe a bit of friendly teasing. Nothing serious. But instead of a chill escape, the trip turned into a full-on emotional hurricane. Imagine a Greek tragedy, except with luxury hotels, lace front wigs, and a dozen Instagram lives streaming every second. When Joc decided to join the trip, he didn't just pack swim trunks and sunscreen. He packed old grudges, fragile pride, and enough suspicion to fuel an entire season of drama. Kirk showed up with that familiar, calm expression, the look of a man who might be guilty of something but hasn't quite chosen which excuse to go with yet. These two have been dancing around drama for years. Joc, the funny guy with too many kids and too many headlines, always seems to find trouble. And then there's Kirk, whose reputation has more cracks than a sidewalk in the middle of an Atlanta summer. Every time his name comes up, it's never for something wholesome. It's always about lies, affairs, or damage control. Kirk could turn an innocent family dinner into an interrogation scene. So putting Joc, Kirk, and Kendra in the same place, that's like lighting a match next to gasoline. The funny part is, things actually looked positive before the trip. Joc was spending time with his brother Womney at the Next Level Boys Academy, mentoring kids and talking about growth. Womney opened up about his past in the streets. Joc got emotional about wanting to do better, and for a moment it felt real, like these guys were turning a new page. Then Kirk walked in, looking like the supportive friend who just happened to be around for the camera time. It was touching, the kind of scene that makes you think maybe people really can change. But if you've watched Love and Hip Hop long enough, you know what happens after the "I've changed" moment. Disaster's right around the corner. And sure enough, right after Joc finished hugging his brother, the topic shifted straight to the Puerto Rico trip. That's when the tension came back fast. Joc made it clear he wasn't going to be anyone's peacekeeper. He wasn't going to sit there singing Kumbaya while everyone else threw shade. That's just not him. When Joc feels cornered, he doesn't calm things down. He flips the entire table. So once Rashida and Kendra's names entered the mix, it was over. The trip was doomed before it even started. But here's where it gets crazy. While Joc started acting defensive, trying to keep his emotions in check, Kirk suddenly decided he wanted to play the role of the peacemaker. He was smiling, shaking hands, trying to bring everyone together, pretending to be the grown-up in the room. But Joc wasn't buying it. He wasn't seeing a peace offering. He was seeing something else. Betrayal. That's when things took a turn. The air got heavy and Joc's tone shifted. And then, out of nowhere, he dropped the kind of accusation that can ruin friendships forever. He didn't just say, "I don't trust you." He looked Kirk dead in the eye and accused him of sleeping with his wife. He said Kirk had been with Kendra. Now pause for a second. In the Love and Hip Hop universe, that's not just throwing shade. That's setting off a bomb. When someone accuses you of that, it's war. And with Kirk's history, could anyone honestly be surprised? This is the same man who's been caught cheating before. Not just rumors, but full-blown scandals that made headlines. The same man who's turned "I'm sorry" into his personal brand. So when Joc said those words, it hit hard. The audience didn't just gasp. Half of them thought, well, it is Kirk. And Kirk's reaction? That said everything. You could see his face twitch, caught between fake outrage and real panic. That "how dare you" expression clashing with, "oh no, he might know something." It was perfect reality TV because, let's be honest, Joc didn't pull that accusation out of thin air. Nobody wakes up one morning and randomly accuses their friend of being with their wife. That kind of suspicion comes from somewhere. There were already whispers, rumors, maybe a text message that wasn't meant to be seen. People online were already hinting, talking about receipts, screenshots, and late-night DMs. And Joc, being Joc, chose the most dramatic place possible to call it out, under the Puerto Rican sun. Meanwhile, Kirk was acting like he was too mature for all this, pretending he came for the vacation, not the drama. But come on, this is the same man who's allergic to taking responsibility. The same man who, if half the rumors are true, couldn't stay loyal even if the room was full of nuns. Joc knew exactly what nerve to hit, and he hit it hard. The whole group went silent. You could feel everyone realizing that this wasn't just a fight. This was a breaking point. Puerto Rico wasn't a vacation anymore. It had turned into a courtroom, and Kirk was the man on trial. But that's not even the worst part. Kendra was right in the center of it all. She's always defended Joc, always stood by him, trying to prove she's loyal and different from the rest. Yet here she was, caught in the storm, her name spinning in every direction. Some said she didn't deserve this. Others weren't so sure. Was there really something between her and Kirk? Was it just Joc's jealousy getting out of hand? Or was there actually some truth to the gossip? No one could tell for sure. Maybe it was a one-time mistake. Maybe something deeper had been going on behind Joc's back. And that's the thing about this world. The wilder the rumor, the faster it spreads. Everyone loves a story, especially one this messy. So what started as a peaceful trip, a chance to relax and reconnect, turned into chaos. A storm of suspicion, anger, and heartbreak. Whatever peace they hoped for in Puerto Rico was gone. Things were hanging by a thread. The Puerto Rican sun was blazing, but the tension between Joc and Kirk could have melted steel. Husband versus friend. Accusation versus denial. It was a full-blown showdown, and the cameras caught every second of it. Drinks were spilling, tempers rising, and everyone knew the second that footage aired, social media would explode. The moment Joc said the words, "You spent the night with my wife," everything changed. The mood, the energy, the whole trip. It stopped feeling like a vacation and turned into something straight out of court TV, beachfront edition. Kirk tried to play it cool, pretending to be shocked, but his face said everything. And then came that awkward laugh. The kind of fake chuckle people do when they're caught off guard and don't know what else to do. The laugh that says, "I swear I'm innocent," while the eyes say, "Oh no, I'm in trouble." Joc wasn't falling for it, not even a little. He leaned in, his eyes locked on Kirk, his voice getting louder by the second. You could tell he wasn't bluffing. He had something, and he was ready to throw it all out there. That's when the word receipts started floating around, because apparently, the rumors had been brewing long before Puerto Rico. According to whispers from the streets, Joc had received an anonymous DM not long ago. Screenshots, messages, and blurry proof that something shady might have gone down. Late-night texts saying, "Pull up, don't tell nobody," and "had a great time last night." Maybe those messages could have meant nothing. But when they're allegedly from Kirk to Kendra, it stops sounding like business talk and starts sounding like betrayal. And the timing? Too perfect. The texts supposedly lined up with one of Kirk's business trips, the kind where no one ever actually sees him doing business. Fans noticed the pattern immediately, and they weren't holding back. Twitter went wild. One person wrote, "If Joc and Kirk are fighting over Kendra, I want front row seats." Another posted, "Kirk couldn't stay loyal if you locked him in a monastery with no Wi-Fi." The memes came fast. A screenshot of Joc yelling with the caption, "When your bro might become your stepkid's new stepdad." Savage, but everyone laughed because it didn't feel that far off. And then the so-called sources came out of hiding. Those people who somehow always know what happens behind the scenes. They claimed Joc had already confronted Kendra in private. She denied everything, swearing nothing happened between her and Kirk. But there was a problem. Her tone, the slight pause before answering. The defensive, "How could you even ask me that?" energy. It was just enough to make Joc doubt her completely. Because in the love and hip-hop world, the more you deny, the guiltier you look. Meanwhile, the producers were having the time of their lives. The cameras zoomed in on every reaction. Kirk's forced smile, Joc's heavy breathing, Rashida's cold glare that could cut glass. It was perfect TV chaos. Kirk, of course, tried to talk his way out. He started babbling about brotherhood and trust. Classic distraction tactics when you've got no real defense. "Why would I ever do that?" he said. Like that question alone would make everything disappear. But no one was buying it. If anything, the vague talk just made him look guiltier. Fans started digging. Old clips resurfaced. Scenes where Kirk and Kendra seemed a little too close. That one hug that lasted a second too long. The shared laugh that didn't look so innocent anymore. Suddenly, every smile looked suspicious. Every old video became evidence. The timeline was messy, but it started to paint a story. Maybe this wasn't a new rumor. Maybe it had been building quietly for months while everyone was distracted by other scandals. And then came the real bombshell. Someone who claimed to be close to production leaked that there was unseen footage. Scenes the show never aired. Allegedly, the clip showed Kirk and Kendra at an after-party, standing too close, whispering and laughing in each other's ears. Maybe it was harmless. Maybe it wasn't. But it was enough to make Joc lose it. If the leak is true, the producers had been saving that footage, waiting for the right time to stir the pot. And what better moment than this trip to Puerto Rico? Coincidence, please. Nothing on Love and Hip Hop happens by accident. Back on social media, it was chaos. Team Joc versus Team Kirk. Some fans said Joc was paranoid, letting his insecurity destroy years of friendship. Others argued that Kirk's reputation spoke for itself, that Joc had every reason to question him. And of course, there were the conspiracy theorists saying the whole thing was scripted for ratings. But here's the thing, Joc's face didn't look scripted. His anger looked too raw, too real. And then there was Rashida. Poor Rashida. She's been through years of Kirk's scandals, trying to rebuild trust only for him to drag her back into more mess. The moment this scene unfolded, you could almost read her mind. Not again. Not in Puerto Rico. Not in front of the cameras. But that's the thing about men like Kirk. When they fall, they don't fall alone. They take everyone around them down too. Joc wasn't letting it go. He demanded answers, straight, no sugarcoating. Did you or did you not spend the night with my wife? He asked, voice trembling with anger. The room went silent. The only sounds were nervous shuffling and Kirk's awkward laugh. Then Kirk tried his go-to move, deflection. Man, you really gonna let these rumors come between us? You gonna believe the streets over me? He said. But honestly, that's not a great defense when the streets have more credibility than you. Meanwhile, the internet was running its own investigation. Fans became detectives overnight. Instagram Lives popped up claiming eyewitness accounts. TikTok slowed down clips frame by frame, analyzing facial expressions. Twitter threads were linking old posts and timelines like a full-blown CSI case. And then came the final blow. Joc didn't stop at calling Kirk out. He went for everything. He brought up every shady thing Kirk had ever done. Every lie, every time he humiliated Rashida. If you could do it to her, why wouldn't you do it to me? He said. The room froze. Because as harsh as it was, he had a point. Kirk's history was a mountain of mistakes. Was this really that impossible to believe? That's when the realization hit. This wasn't just another argument. Puerto Rico wasn't just messy. It was about to be catastrophic. You can't accuse someone of being with your wife and then go back to sipping cocktails by the pool. This was personal. This was war. Everyone else on that trip? They were just collateral damage. Extras in a disaster that was about to play out on national television. So here we are, in a tropical paradise surrounded by blue water and palm trees, watching two grown men destroy years of friendship over screenshots, rumors, and late-night whispers. And honestly, this is exactly why people can't stop watching Love and Hip Hop. It's not about the music. It's about betrayal, suspicion, and that addictive chaos that keeps everyone glued to their screens. And if you think that was bad, just wait. Because the fallout from this fight isn't just emotional. It's going to cost somebody everything. In Puerto Rico, the drinks might be cheap, but the drama, that's expensive. When Joc finally dropped his last accusation, the entire villa fell silent. You could feel the weight of it. That silence didn't last long, though. It turned into shouting, tears, and the end of whatever brotherhood they used to have. This wasn't just a TV storyline anymore. It was real life unraveling. Kirk, desperate to save face, tried one last time. Bro, you're letting producers play you, he said. You think I'd risk my marriage, my family, my brand for one night? But that statement backfired hard, because if there's one thing Kirk's proven time and time again, it's that he'll risk all of that, and more, for a lot less. A one-night stand? That's not a stretch. That's practically his trademark. The man could trademark infidelity at this point. That's how bad Kirk's reputation had become. But Joc wasn't letting it slide this time. He stood up, chest out, pacing like a man ready to choose between a fight and a divorce lawyer. You think I'm stupid? My wife came to Puerto Rico to relax. And now I hear from everyone but you. What went down, bro? Every word hit like a hammer. Rashida just sat there, arms crossed, eyes rolling like she'd seen this movie too many times. It wasn't even about Kendra anymore. It was about Kirk dragging everyone into his mess again. Her look said it all. I already know how this ends. Meanwhile, the internet caught fire. Hashtags like Joc vs. Kirk and Kendragate flooded timelines. Reddit exploded with theories. Did Kirk and Kendra really hook up? Or was this all a producer stunt for ratings? But the twist was simple. Real or fake, everyone was hooked. Word soon spread that producers might spin this disaster into its own storyline. Joc's trust issues, Kendra's denials, Kirk's damaged image, Rashida's quiet pain. But off-camera, things turned darker. Joc and Kendra had a screaming match that night. He demanded the truth. She stuck to her story. Her silence and hesitation only made things worse. Once suspicion creeps in, it never leaves. Kirk tried his usual PR game, telling everyone Joc was overreacting, but his history made his words useless. Fans started pulling old photos, comments, and club sightings. Every blurry image became proof. The question shifted from did it happen to how long has it been happening? And that's when the real fallout began. Rumors swirled that Joc was ready to walk. Not just from Kirk, but from his marriage. Some said he'd already spoken to a lawyer. Others claimed Kendra was packing. Kirk, meanwhile, worried less about them and more about Rashida finally snapping. His image wasn't just bad anymore, it was radioactive. Even VH1 execs were unsure how to handle it. Drama equals ratings, sure, but this level of chaos could backfire. Then again, this is Love and Hip Hop. Chaos is currency. Joc's outburst. You spent the night with my wife. Split the cast in half. Some sided with him, saying they'd noticed shady behavior. Others defended Kirk, claiming jealousy was clouding Joc's mind. The Puerto Rico trip turned from a getaway to a battlefield. And Kirk? Instead of denying everything clearly, he laughed it off and dodged questions. In this game, silence equals guilt. If you don't fight to prove innocence, fans assume the worst. Kirk looked more like a man protecting his image than defending his truth. By the end, Joc and Kirk, once like brothers, were enemies. Kendra was stuck in the middle, her loyalty questioned. Rashida was once again left cleaning up emotional wreckage she didn't cause. The fans were loving it, though, eating the chaos up like popcorn, because that's what Love and Hip Hop does best. Turn paradise into drama. As the sun set over Puerto Rico, Joc stormed off, Kirk sulked, Rashida rolled her eyes, and Kendra tried to hold her marriage together. But the damage was already done. Trust shattered, friendships gone, and the drama just beginning. And if history's taught us anything, No fight in Love and Hip Hop ever truly ends. It just waits for the reunion special or the next season to explode again. Puerto Rico may have looked like paradise, but it turned into the stage for betrayal, broken bonds, and questions that still don't have answers. So now it's up to the fans. Whose side are you on? Joc, the betrayed husband demanding truth? Kirk, the man whose record speaks louder than his excuses? Or Kendra, trapped between a husband's rage and a friend's lies? One thing's certain, this wasn't just a vacation gone wrong. It was the start of a fallout that no amount of tequila or reunion drama can fix.